Good evening, everyone. This is Ron Tyler with Emergency Management Associates coming to you live from the Crossroads of the West in Salt Lake City, Utah. The time is now 6:23 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and it is now Friday. We made it to Friday, everyone. It is Friday, March 13th. It used to be that I didn't like Fridays the 13th, but guess what? We're here. How about that? We're glad to have you all here. We want to welcome everybody that is here right now or who will be joining us during our program or who will even join us on a delayed broadcast basis. Thank you for coming in and seeing Emergency Management Associates this evening. We are glad to have everybody here, as I said. Now, it has been a day from heck all day long. What I'm going to tell you right now is that we have been busy since we first got up. I've been taking messages, going through messages both on the phone and text messages literally all day. I have been getting messages from the government. I've been getting messages from all sorts of different avenues to letting me know what's going on, and some messages leading me to wonder what in the heck is going on. First off, I want to clear up a few things that people have been agitated over, and I understand why you're agitated. I was too. And I still have my misgivings of whether the information is true or not. Now, first thing is, it was rumored that the President of the United States would today declare a state of emergency here in the United States, which he did. Second, people were worried about whether he would make a decision to basically shut down the country, as what has happened in Italy and a few other places around the globe. Shutting down meaning imposing medical martial law. We have not had medical martial law put upon us yet. It still could happen. It still could happen. Now, why am I even thinking about it? Because it still could possibly happen. Okay, it depends on how bad this coronavirus thing goes. I have told you yesterday about issues that have happened literally around the country. Churches closing down, not going to hold meetings as they normally have. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints shut down all meetings for at least 30 days. Yeah, all meetings canceled for 30 days. Schools have shut their doors until the end of the month. The latest was my own son's school this afternoon. Let me read to you the notice from my son's school. And this is just a summary. Okay, this is just a summary of things that are happening around the United States. And these have already happened in some other countries. They shut down schools, they shut down businesses, told people to stay home. It is a recommendation of the Utah State Board of Education to the school district my son goes to school in for dismissing school for 2 weeks, starting the morning of March 16th. This means schools will not be in session from Monday, March 16th to March 30th, till Monday, March 30th. If this date is extended for any reason, the district will immediately communicate with parents. During the state requested dismissal of K through 12 public schools, the district, elementary, middle, and high schools will be open to the public during regular school hours, March 16th and 17th. During these 2 days, students may come to the school briefly to collect personal items or homework left behind at school. during the 2-week dismissal. Select schools will be open from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. so that students can participate in the school nutrition program, where sack lunches will be available for any child under the age of 18. The schools will be open to students to quickly obtain the grab-and-go meals, in addition to the dismissal of classes. All district-related athletic competitions and practices, school activities, events, dances, and performances are canceled. Community education classes are also canceled. Please be assured during the 2-week dismissal, as a proactive measure, school custodians will complete a thorough cleaning of all district school facilities with hospital-grade disinfectants. Early next week, Canyon District will provide additional guidance to parents about the learning opportunities that will be provided during the 2-week dismissal. Details about year-end tests and accumulation of credits that count toward graduation also are forthcoming. If you have questions about the district's response to the COVID-19 related issues, please refer to the district website. Social media pages will also be updated on a regular basis. If you have questions or comments, please send an email and a representative will be ready to help you. Again, we thank you in advance for your cooperation and understanding as we work through the many issues associated with district-wide dismissal of classes. Now, this was precipitated, I believe, because that's what they alluded to, at the recommendation of the Utah State Board of Education. Now, no, I don't live in other school districts, nor have we received word about other school districts closing, except for one other one that closed as of yesterday. The Murray School District, which is just north of here, Salt Lake is further north than we are. Murray is the next town south from Salt Lake. Murray School District closed yesterday until further notice. Today, our school district closed until the end of this month, end of March. We have not heard of any other school districts closing, but it looks like that's what's going to happen, given the information that the state school board has recommended the closing. With that said, are they talking about not just closing down schools, but everything else as well, and instituting martial law to make sure that the quarantines to people's homes are in place and people don't stray from those places? I don't know. And the information that I have is none, zero zilch. I don't have any other information. It's not available. One of the things that I was concerned all day about until the presidential address this afternoon, which he was late for, and that happens, I understand. I'm not holding it against the president or anybody else. But quite honestly, everybody was expecting the president to detail a swift passage of rules and regulations that would close down the country, literally. Businesses and homes and factories and other places all around the country. We thought it was going to happen. It did not. Today, at today's presidential news conference, it was attended by the press corps, of course, and an entourage of people that had been invited to speak at the press conference, including members of the coronavirus task force, pharmacies and pharmaceutical companies, which are providing medical grade pharmaceuticals to be available to patients throughout the country. It was said that the test kits would be largely available. However, they put restrictions on it, meaning only people that had certain symptoms would be eligible to be tested for the coronavirus. Now, what does it mean? Exactly who is going to be tested? And I understand what the symptoms are: runny nose, sore throat, fever, congestion, and cough. Okay, and cough. If those people are coming to the pharmacies and other locations to obtain a coronavirus test, which results won't be available for 24 to 48 hours, by the way, and anybody else will be turned away. If you don't have a high temperature, you don't have a runny nose, you don't have a sore throat, you don't have a cough, then you're not going to be allowed to have a test. And I understand certain symptoms have to be met. You're right. Why should we test people just to be testing them? Well, folks, most of you know that I have been sick since around the 25th of February. Okay. Right now, it's been 17 days for me. And other people that I associate with, they have been sick for 15 days, 14 days, including friends of ours in our EMA family. I have run a low-grade fever up to 101.6. I have had a cough. I have had a runny nose. I have had a sore throat, and I've been fatigued. But one of the other things that I just talked about was having a cough. It has to be a dry, unproductive cough in order to be counted to be able to get a test. Sometimes I've had dry cough. Other times I've had a productive cough. Now, some of you will say TMI. True. I totally get that. Not a problem. But they're putting limitations on whether or not you can get a test. And yes, I qualify for a test under a lot of circumstances. Right now, my cough is sometimes productive and sometimes not. My throat is not really sore, but sometimes it is from coughing. I think you can see where I'm going with this. What are we going to have to do to be tested and find out if we really have the coronavirus or not? That's the real question. That's the real question. There are a lot of issues, and I completely understand what we're going through right now. Are we going to be put under medical martial law where we can't leave our homes? I had a discussion last night with my family, and at first they said, well, they're not going to hold us to our homes. If we see traffic going by our house, and we do have a major road right in front of our house, if we see traffic going up and down the house, apparently, or in front of the house, apparently people are not abiding by the martial law. And we're not going to either. I said, oh, really? Do you want to get picked up and taken to jail? Or have authorities, including the National Guard, bring you back to the house because you decide you weren't going to obey the law, which is a regulation, but it's an imposed law under a medical curfew a medical martial law. Now, no, we're not under medical martial law. We can still leave our homes. Nobody has put a damper on whether we can leave the house or not. But a good question was raised by my family. We're going to go outside and go to our trash cans, put trash in the trash can, which is about 10 or 15 feet from the house, because during the summer especially, we don't want to have those wonderful smells from the trash can coming into the house. That's why we put our trash cans away from the house. Is that going to be a limitation? We can't even go into our backyard to put trash in the trash can? I don't know. I can't answer that question. And nobody so far has been able to give me an answer that I can be satisfied with, to even pass on to you if it was necessary. Okay. But what this state of emergency that was put into place by the president did. First off, declaring the state of emergency opened up what they call the Stafford Act that was put into place by Congress in 1988. What that Stafford Act does is allow the federal government to open up upwards of $50 billion in aid to the states and communities around the country. That's exactly what it does. It allows aid to flow to states and cities to hire people or to pay people to do whatever is necessary to quell this virus and to save people's lives. Now, there's one part, I'm trying to look for it right now. There's one part that really bothers me. There's one part that really bothered me. And I can't find the exact thing that I was looking for. The thing that bothers me, it also activates FEMA representatives to assist with the state and local communities in making sure that people are taken care of. And I'm using that phrase, taken care of, in a huge way. In a huge way. Now, there have been rumors, and I understand that FEMA has FEMA camps. And up until a couple of years ago, I would have told you, no, they don't, no, they don't, no, they don't. But since then, I have seen the FEMA camps. And I've had more people talk to me about it. Do I believe they have FEMA camps? Yes. Are they as bad as they've been painted to be? Probably. Now, again, I have not been inside a FEMA camp, nor do I want to. And quite honestly, they're going to have to drag me kicking and screaming and kill me to take me to the FEMA camp. And by killing me, they're not going to take me to FEMA camp. But that is one of the things that the Stafford Act allows FEMA to become involved. Now, the last time a state of emergency was declared was under President Bill Clinton in 2000. Why? Because they were worried about a sickness. A sickness. And because of that, they allowed Bill Clinton to declare the state of emergency and allow things to open up and allow money to become available to help the states and the cities get the necessary test kits and medical medical band-aids, basically enough first aid to take care of people that were sick. And that's what that Stafford Act does, among a bunch of other things. Okay, and I'm not going to get into every line by line, paragraph by paragraph of the Stafford Act. I've been there, done that. I've researched it. I know what the Stafford Act says, and it's a long piece of regulation, but it allows the government to get involved to assist the community, to assist you, to assist me, and hopefully keep people well. Do I believe that the President of the United States, and this came up today too, there was a discussion about this, is the president behind this whole thing of allowing people to die and quarantining communities so they can't get out of there, so the president has a run over everybody and can do what he darn well please and nobody can stop him? No, I don't believe that's the case at all. Unless I see it, and then I'll say, well, I should have listened to you guys. But I don't think that's what's going on. However, with the school closings, churches closing down, the NFL, the NBA, the National Baseball League, hockey, XFL, everything is closing down. The NCAA Sweet 16, Final Four, everything closed down. There will be none this year unless things turn around. They could still open it up. Baseball has left it at this point where they can declare a short season and open up at a later date. And for that, I say wonderful. Why? Because I like baseball. Some people don't, some people do. But the sports are shut down. They have also canceled concerts all over the country, including California. They've shut the concerts down, and some people get their money back. But that's how serious this is. In one particular case that affects 2 members of my family, and some of you will recognize the name of this boy band, BTS, that come out of South Korea. South Korea basically is under martial law now. And they have basically shut down everything in Korea, South Korea. No schools, businesses closed down, people have to stay home, concerts and everything canceled. Well, the boy band is out of South Korea. They have canceled other concerts in other nations, other countries. Members of my family want to go back to California again to watch a BTS concert in May. They may not have that, depending on what happens between now and even the first part of April. They may still cancel the concert. They've canceled other concerts. We'll have to see. But it comes down to the reasoning here that we have certain rights that we become very familiar with, that we enjoy being able to live and be in a free society. We enjoy those rights, those privileges that were given to us under not just the Constitution of the United States, but God gave us unalienable rights of freedom and free speech. Are we going to continue to have that? I hope to have, yes. But what I'm saying is some of our rights have already been suspended, whether we want to admit to it or not. I'm going to read to you a message that one of my dear colleagues and someone who I actually call my sister, because I truly believe this, I feel it. She said, we need to start banding together and getting ready for what is to come with the government, state, and local regulations, being ready to run rampant. We need to be vigilant to corruption and abuses of power. We are likely to be in a state of full martial law nationwide, and people need to start coming together and keeping communications open and finalizing your bug out and preparedness plans. She goes on, regardless of the virus and what you think, the ramification of these shutdowns is unlike anything that we've ever seen before. We've never been down this road. Many celebrities and politicians now have COVID-19, and community spread is so common in areas, communities have stopped testing altogether. When Tom Cruise and his wife, and I believe it was just his wife that was diagnosed, but they're in Australia, and she put on a concert, and the entire concert hall has had to be decontaminated. Again, with those same hospital grade disinfectants that my son's school district is using to disinfect the schools. But that's where we're at. While store shelves are decimated to a degree that I never in my area have ever seen, and at this point in our entire country. What has happened, folks? I have shown you, the night before last, I showed you pictures of one of the Walmarts. We have two Walmarts in the city where I live. One of them is the one we frequent on a regular basis, and that Walmart is decimated. I have more pictures of that Walmart today. We went there for a short time to pick up a couple things today. That Walmart, the shelves are bare. I showed you shelves in the emergency preparedness aisle where they have 72-hour kits and all kinds of emergency preparedness food, not the normal food that everybody eats on a day-to-day basis, but freeze-dried type food. It's gone. There's nothing there. The toilet paper and paper towels, those aisles, there's nothing there. Nothing. Not one licking piece of anything to sell anybody. And other aisles are equally bare. The cereal aisle is bare. The aisle with soups, different kinds of soups, Campbell soup, store brand soup, everybody's kind of soup, non-existent. It's not there. The canned vegetables, they're gone. The frozen vegetables are gone. One whole section of the dairy area, behind the cooler door, one whole section is gone. The canned fruit aisle, non-existent. There's nothing there. And yeah, if you wanted me to show you all this, I could. But I'm just telling you, it's non-existent right now. Nothing is there. Now, my colleague, Scarlett, says we need to take proactive measures for us. The spread of the coronavirus, but we need to be aware to push back on our rights that are being stolen in the name of public health emergency. We have seen the draconian bills introduced in New York, AB 99, and California to make the public health officers have more powers than the president. Now, some of you may say, well, that's California because they're a communist state. And yes, you're right, they are. They're run by a draconian Hitler in the form of a man named Gavin Newsom. Yeah, that's probably going to get back to Mr. Newsom. I don't care. But it's true. The draconian legislation that has been passed in New York and California and other places have no rights in our society. It should never have happened, but it has. As the elites say, never let a good crisis go to waste. Remember Rahm Emanuel, who was with President Obama at the beginning of his presidency and later ran for governor of the state of Illinois? Yeah. Never let a good crisis go to waste. And President Obama didn't. Every time a crisis came up, seemed like he had an answer for it. And people's rights were stolen from it. And that's what we're worried about today. Scarlett goes on to say, I've been saying on the air since January, this is a push for global governance and monitoring. If what the CDC calls are saying is true, there are no tests to be administered. So what are they diagnosing? At today's press conference, the fact was known by the coronavirus task force that there were not enough tests. And at least one company was there to say, we're building the tests and we're going to distribute them high, wide, and far, so everybody that needs a test will be able to have the test. But again, restrictions were placed on people being able to get that test. They have to have certain symptoms in order to be able to even qualify for the test. And then they talked about drive-in testing facilities, where you can drive in and be tested and drive back out and be notified 48 hours later whether you have COVID-19 or not. Is this a mass DNA collection scheme disguised under the name of public health? That's what Scarlett's asking, and I agree. These next 2 weeks will probably be the beginning of a long, arduous process that may reshape our world for the distant future. I hope people treat each other with kindness and love and band together to share resources and experience and not tear each other down or discount each other. We need to stick together. What if this is a karmic test to see how we respond? Yeah, it could be. If we allow the elites or government agencies to push us around, they will, and we'll be done for. Now, I know those of you that I become very close to, and I consider you my personal family, and I do. I don't want you guys to get run down by these people, by the government. I'm hoping that's not what's going to happen. I'm giving our president the benefit of the doubt. But on the same token, the second to last sentence that Scarlett says here, let's not have regrets on how we should have handled things. I'm going to repeat this statement. Let's not have regrets on how we should have handled things. Let's change the world for the better by standing up not in fear, but in preparedness. Not in fear, but preparedness. Something else that happened today, and I think it's a positive thing. It could be considered part of a negative process. Okay, this came out today that internet companies won't disconnect people for unpaid bills for 60 days. Companies have agreed to waive late fees and open up Wi-Fi hotspots to Americans who need them. That's how people get the news. The internet has been a collection point for hundreds of millions of people around the world. How they get their news, how they get the information they need to survive, even on a day-to-day basis. This article goes on to say the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC of the United States, has won commitments from phone and broadband providers to support the swelling numbers of adults and children working and attending classes from home, respectively, amid the coronavirus pandemic. And yes, it was declared yesterday to be a pandemic. A group of broadband and telecommunication firms signed the FCC's Keep America Connected pledge, which asks connectivity companies to postpone termination of services for the next 60 days on homes or small businesses because of inability to pay bills because of the outbreak. Now, I'm going to stop for a minute here. You and I are not the only ones that have been worried about a martial law being imposed to keep us quarantined in our own homes for 30 days. Everybody thought today that the president would announce that. He did not do that. I want to repeat, the president did not indicate martial law, but it could be coming. And people were scared that they couldn't be able to pay their bills. Even my daughter, who doesn't have, she's only had 2 jobs so far in her young life. And so she's worried that she wouldn't be able to get to work if they declared martial law. I'd be worried too. But if they declared martial law, her company would be closed. Nobody would be able to go to work. Not anybody in her business, not anybody that works around her, not anybody across the street at a market or McDonald's. Everything would be closed. But she was worried that I'm going to work. I don't care what they say. Well, if they say what they want, nobody here is going to have a job, because the businesses will be shut down. Everybody needs to think about this. Think rationally with an open, clear mind. And yes, I'm completely aware that a lot of people are scared, and you have a right to feel that way. You have a right to feel scared, angry, disappointed, hurt. Absolutely you do. Okay. I'll come down a little bit off my soapbox here. I'm going to go back to this article on the internet here about the broadband. Among companies to endorse the pledge are major and minor internet providers, including AT&T, Comcast, Charter, Cox, Google Fiber, Sprint, Verizon, and T-Mobile. FCC Commissioner Jessica Rosenworcel, Rosenworcel, Jessica Rosenworcel, asked the FCC to go farther by asking companies to also lift and eliminate data caps and coverage charges, and get hospitals connected, and make sure there are hotspots for loans to school children. Okay. Yesterday we discussed the schools getting shut down. And yes, again today, another school district was shut down. This time, my son's school district is shutting down. Well, already has, actually. My son didn't go to school today, he didn't have to. His group of students didn't have to go to school today. But those kids that were in school today will be their last day of school until the end of the month. Maybe call it a long spring break. But the two schools, Murray and this school district we're in, have shut down. And there's probably a lot more. I've heard that there are a lot of other school districts that are shut down. And that's fine. Not a problem with it. Not a problem with it. But you, me, and everybody needs to keep a cool tool. Keep our heads together when everybody else is losing theirs. We need to be able to rationally think for ourselves and act for ourselves. And together, we pose a formidable army. There's strength in numbers. There's strength in numbers. It's very plain. The handwriting's on the wall, and it's clear to me to see what we need to do. For almost a year now, April 3rd, it'll be 1 year that I've been on the air. Since day one, we've been talking about earthquakes. We have been talking about safety, and we have been talking about our attitude, as well as earthquakes and everything else that we talked about. Now, I don't want to hammer home saying, see, I told you so. I'm not going to do that. Everybody still has a chance to pull it all together. And I hope you will. I hope you will. I am. In Cherokee, I'm looking at the I'm looking at the chat room. Cherokee Moon says, yesterday my church shut down all meetings. Yeah, they sure did. And no, I didn't think they would either. But the church, and our church isn't the only one that is shutting down meetings. It's not the only one. Up in Summit County, which I explained to you guys yesterday, where Park City, Utah is, the ski resort. That county came up with someone that was infected with the coronavirus. And so they literally shut down anything, any kind of meeting or anything with over 50 people attending, which would mean churches and everything else. And I think that was one of the things precipitated the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to shut down meetings. And rightly so. They don't want to contribute to spreading the virus, and they in themselves said that in their announcement. When they wanted to cooperate with state and federal governments in trying to quell this virus, put a lid on it. And that's fine. But weeks ago, I started talking to everybody about each of us having our own church service in our own homes. And I know there are a lot of non-Christians in our group, and I'm not knocking any of you. Please don't mistake me. I'm not knocking any of you. I admire all of you, whether you're a Christian or not. But folks, please take time out of your busy lives. And even though there's not going to be church services held in your area, make sure you and your family stay close to God. Make sure you do. It's going to become very, very important. And I may still come on the air. I've got one open channel here on the YouTube channel where I may teach a Sunday school class to everybody. I would have not a problem one with doing that. And Doobie, I'm thankful for you too. I'm thankful we found each other. Everyone, I'm thankful for each one of you. Whether you guys will know it or not, I think a lot of you do. Most of you do. But we need to provide religious education for our family, for our children, and our grandchildren, and our great-great-grandchildren. But getting back to what happened at Walmart and Costco, for that matter. Costco, by the way, our Costco was out of toilet paper and paper towels. They had signs on the door, on each door, saying they were out of paper towels and toilet paper. What is going on? What is this rush for toilet paper and paper towels? So Walmart has none and Costco has none. Today they had plenty of water. For those of you that don't know, a couple days ago we went to Costco and bought 2 cases of water. We wanted to make sure that we had plenty of available drinking water for all of us. Because the local water, even though they say it's the best water in all of Utah, it still has a lot to be desired. But the water we bought 2 days ago was contaminated. It had an acidic smell, and the taste was acidic. I opened 2 bottles in one case and 1 bottle in another case. And all 3 bottles had the same smell and the same taste. I only took a sip. I didn't take a big gulp. I didn't want to get totally sick, but even that, those sips out of those 3 bottles really kind of made me ill. And we returned them today and got 2 more cases of water. But today, Costco still had water. They had probably 20 pallets of water sitting on the floor. They had plenty of water. Whereas the other day, they might have had 8 pallets and most of the water was gone. But we have water now, more water. We're going to be fine. Our family's going to be fine. And I may go get some more tomorrow. I don't know yet. It depends. And you only can have 2 cases of water per day per person, by the way, at Costco. There isn't any at Walmart. There's no water. Go figure. And people were even grabbing soda off the shelves. They'd rather have soda than anything because there's no water to get. And that's fine. You have to drink something, don't you? Now, no, I'm a space cadet. We're not at the end of the show. Looks like you were at the end of the show. No, you're not. We're not at the end of the show. Not even. And you say it's also maybe a good time to come to the stores when the trucks get there to replenish the water, but it takes time for the store to put it out. It has to be put into their inventory before they take it to the floor. And I don't think they do it right away. But there was no water today, no paper towels, no toilet paper at either store. And from what I can gather from Facebook and around the internet. That's the way it is all over the place. So we just got to grin and bear with it. I saw more people at Walmart today than I've seen in a long time. I've seen more people today at Costco than I saw the last time I was there. I think people are trying to do the right thing and becoming prepared, but I don't understand the frenzy with paper towels and toilet paper. I will never understand this one. Sheila, you're upset about nobody being tested, that the leaders blow it off as routine. Scooter Pie, I will always tell everybody to be prepared. That's what I do. I'm an emergency preparedness specialist. That's what I do. But you have to be careful. You have to keep your head on your head on your shoulders, I should say, when everybody else has lost theirs and using it to kick around like a ball. And Puka says, why is everyone buying boiled water? That's silly. How many bottles are needed for a sponge bath? How many to do your laundry, your dishes, mop your floors, get food quality buckets and fill them? I don't think anybody's worried necessarily about not being able to have water. Even the Utah governor yesterday, when he came on the media, TV and radio, and said, folks, don't be so frenzied with buying water. Why do that when you have plenty of fresh running water coming through your tap? Again, I just explained to you guys why we have a lot of water in our house for our family. We just don't like the taste of local water. I've never liked the taste of it. I haven't liked the taste of water coming from the tap since I moved from California. California water sucked. The water that my family was drinking back in the 70s and 80s and 90s until I left, the water had been condemned in 1974. I don't know whether I've said that to you guys or not, but the water in my area of San Diego had been condemned in 1974. They just put more and more chemicals in it to try to bring it up to standards. And even then, I doubt it's even up to standards. That's why we have our own water supply here of drinking water. Otherwise, if you're going to use it to cook with, you're going to have to boil it for it to become really safe. But I don't want to have to even worry about that. Sharon says that she uses paper towels she has for cleaning and prepping. And that's good. We have paper towels too, but we don't have 4 and 5 cases of paper towels. And that seems like what has happened at the stores. People made a run on paper towels and toilet paper. Why? What are they going to get from it? When everybody else is scrambling for toilet paper in 3 or 4 weeks, oh, I've got it, but I'm going to sell it to you for $20 a roll or whatever. Are they going to try to make a hit on Wall Street by selling toilet paper and paper towels from their home? I'm wondering. Bill says his water tastes fine. Awesome, especially when he adds his instant coffee. And that's probably true. And yes, I've been using old rags for washing. Scooter Pie says I've been using old rags for washing them and cleaning and disinfecting everything. I've done that too. I think most of our families have at one point or another. But I'm just saying, don't be scavengers. Don't be hoarders. Get the things that you need for you and your family. That's what I've always said. And Scooter Pie says, I don't want strangers at my house. I don't either. One of my dear friends from back in California, and he's on this program a lot, or he's on the chat room a lot. He and I had a discussion about that this morning. What are we going to do when people that we know that we prepare for hard times, and they know we have things? Are they going to come at us and say, hey, we know you have food and supplies, can we have some? Well, I've now made a decision that decision is no. You can't. One, this is my biggest reason. I spent the last year, and most of my life, in fact, telling people that they needed to prepare. And people thought I was crazy. Some people wanted to lynch me. I've heard that. Other people thought, oh, Ron's part of the loony bin tribe, and we're going to just ignore him. He might be thinking he's doing a good job, but we're going to ignore him. Well, now, folks, we're in a situation where we're probably going to see martial law in our communities, and we're not going to be able to leave our homes, and food and everything else is going to become scarce. I've been trying to tell people to be prepared. When I was a cop, back in the police academy, they told us to make sure we had 72-hour kits with us in our police car on duty in case we were called to go someplace and then something happens and we couldn't leave. Make sure we have our clothes, our uniforms, food, change of clothes with us. And I did. I kept it in the back of my truck, locked up in the back of my truck. I'd take it out of my truck and put it in the back of my police unit. And then when I leave to go home, I'd take it out of the police car and put it back in the back of my truck. I had everything back there. I had fishing rods and tackle and everything else. Why? Because I like to fish. A lot of people I worked with and other people, friends, thought I was crazy. Why do you carry fishing tackle with you, Ron? In case there might be fish in that there pond or this puddle or whatever. I used to joke with people about it. Yes, I love to go fishing. I'd take the fish home when I catch them. But I talked about preparedness. That's what I did, and I've always done it. Since before I even thought it, I can remember when. And I still preach it today. Please be prepared. Go through your preparedness supplies, and if you see something missing out of your preparedness supplies, go get it this weekend, because you might not have another chance. If you have not finished writing your preparedness plan, as that crazy guy from the team of comedians, remember Larry the Cable Guy? Get her done. That's what I'm going to tell you. If you haven't finished writing your preparedness plan, get her done. If you haven't finished putting your preparedness kit together, get her done. Do it now. Don't wait. There's a guy on the radio, and he's all over he's broadcasting literally all over the United States, and I'm sure his show is syndicated. He talks about beans and rice and beans. And yeah, rice and beans will go a long way. And you might get tired of it. but at least you'd have something to eat. That's what I'm telling you, folks. Rice and beans and rice. Make it happen, folks. Make it happen. Times and Size says a lot is going on. She's right. There is a lot going on. But I want to make sure you all are prepared. And yes, I know the facts of life when it comes to preparedness and saving people's lives. I know that people are going to die, and that kills me even thinking about it. You guys are my friends. You guys are my family. And I don't want to see anybody ever get hurt. Cherokee Moon, you're right. If I had my way, I'd put boards up on my windows and doors and tell people to keep on walking. That's the other issue. Yeah, Linda Moses says she's on disability, and so she buys beans and rice and cheap stuff. Yeah, we do too. Yeah, Scooter Pie, yeah. Let's have a roll call. Who's here that is ready, that is prepared? I don't want any raise of hands. I just want you to think about it. Think about it. I want you to do it. Thank you, Kathleen. I love you guys very, very much. Sandy, howdy. Irie says, believes he is. Good. That's great. Sheila says, ready and still prepping. That's awesome. That's why I love to hear. Love to hear that. MG told me advised, we were told last week, the gas is probably going to go under $2 a gallon here. It's been upwards of $2.25 as of late. $2.24, $2.25. We've been told it's probably going down under $2 very shortly. And today, in the president's emergency address, where he declared the state of emergency, I've jotted down the 5 things he talked about. One of them was he was going to make sure that we would be energy independent, that we wouldn't have to depend on any other country for our oil and fuel. Oil reserves are going to be unlocked to make sure we have fuel to get around, especially during this emergency. Student loan interest rates are non-existent. He's canceled the student loan interest rates. All travel from Europe is banned, except for the UK, Britain. Any US citizens that are coming back from other countries are going to have to be tested and be under a 14-day quarantine. He also, President Trump also said that there would be drive-up coronavirus testing, where you wouldn't even have to get out of your car. Really? That's interesting. But that's what they're telling us. Those were the 5 things. They didn't institute martial law or anything. But can they? Yes, they can. At the drop of a hat. Schools are already, like I've been talking about this whole program, they've been canceling schools, school time, all over the nation. Louisiana today postponed the primary election in their state. Ours was last week. I think it was last week. Don't remember now. That's wild. Sharon says, my husband called me a conspiracy theorist about an hour ago. I guess I won't be talking to him ever again if he doesn't believe what I tell him about what's going on. And I know that feeling, Sharon. I know that feeling well. There's a reason that I've been prepping. And I don't like that word. I don't like the word prepping. I've been preparing. I'm going to do what I have to do to protect those that I care about. And they may think I'm crazy, but I'm going to do it anyway. Nora says she's going to take some of her kids' stuff to their homes tomorrow because they're not in a really good financial place. I understand that. And that's a great thing. Make sure you and your family have the things that you need. But it goes without saying anymore. And I hate being this way because I want people to know that I love them and I trust them. But I've been talking about emergency preparedness for a long, long time. And by the way, Leia's talking about vitamin C. There's no vitamin C in Walmart. There hasn't been any vitamin C in Walmart for 2 weeks. And so I bought emergency. There's plenty of vitamin C in it. Sharon, you shouldn't have to go to the lowest common denominator to insult your spouse. I think that's wrong. That's so damn wrong. Sharon says they have enough food for 4 months. That's great because you may need it, even up there where you live. Things are going to get hard for everyone, not just here in the United States, all over the world. Sandy says gas is $2.05. That's awesome. That's awesome. And yes, Nora says, Sharon, your husband will be thanking you in a few days. You're probably right. Friends, yeah, Scooter Price is Walgreens free shipping. Walgreens, Amazon. You have Amazon Prime. And if you don't, you sign up for 30 days and cancel before 30 days. And anything that you order during that 30 days is free. But cancel before 30 days is up. Sheila, I'd vote your governor out too. What a bozo. Folks, this is serious. This is so serious. I can't emphasize how serious that this is. Now, I know we have 29 minutes left of our program, but I want to touch on earthquakes too. But I knew I wanted to talk about emergency preparedness, and I'm glad that I've taken that time. Yeah, you're gonna have to type your horse around me. Yeah. Tie me up. Go for it. Make my day. Make my day. That's funny. Anyway, today, late this afternoon, there was an earthquake up in southern Alaska. It was funny because USGS, who notifies me of earthquakes, and the other agencies do too, but in my email, I get a notification from USGS that a 4.1 magnitude earthquake hit Mount Redoubt. But they didn't say Mount Redoubt, they said southern Alaska. Really, I know it's southern Alaska, but they didn't want to identify it. Southern Alaska, okay. And by the way, a 3.0 hit in southern Texas. 16 kilometers, what is it? 10 miles north of Snyder, Texas. 3.0 there, just now, just came in. Now, it's interesting to note that the earthquake at Mount Redoubt, and that's one of the volcanoes that we first talked about that we need to pay attention to. And no Mount Redoubt doesn't usually have 4.1 earthquakes. But today it had a 4.1 this afternoon, late this afternoon. Well, the powers that be downgraded that earthquake from 4.1 to 3.7. Yeah, they downgraded Mount Redoubt earthquake to 3.7. As I told one of our associates over in one of our groups on Facebook Messenger, that let's watch the Pacific West Coast of the continental North American continent. Let's see what happens. Right before the earthquake hit the Mount Redoubt, we had a 4.0 hit in Goldfield, Nevada, just east of the California line, Goldfield, Nevada. Goldfield, Nevada is also in a earthquake, excuse me, not earthquake, a volcanic zone. Longs Valley caldera, the Longs Valley caldera. Yeah. Someone also sent me a message today, and yes, I knew about it, that the southern Yukon territories, South Alaska and southwestern Canada, southeast Alaska and southwestern Canada, the Yukon territories were getting hit. They had a 3.1 magnitude earthquake, 79 kilometers, approximately 48 miles north of Yakutat, Alaska. Yakutat, Alaska, Yakutat, Alaska. This area continues to get hit day after day. And it's been getting hit for probably at least 6 or 8 months now, since I've been very closely watching this area. Why is it getting hit? For the simple reason that the Aleutian Islands gets hit. By the way, the Gulf of Alaska got hit by a 3.3 today. About 160 miles southeast of Kodiak, out in the Gulf of Alaska, a 3.1. That 3.1 is going to travel up to Yakutat. It goes right up the Aleutian Island fault. That whole fault zone is moving. That whole fault zone is moving. It can't help move. It can't help but move. It's funny. It's kind of funny to me. I'm seeing it move, and I see stuff happening. And I'm showing you now the map, the USGS map. For those of you that ask, and you have asked them, use the USGS map and the EMSC map and their feeds for our earthquakes to show you what's happening. Because the EMSC has more complete listing of earthquakes than the USGS map. For example, USGS is saying there's 41 earthquakes. There's over 200 earthquakes today. But they're not saying that. They never do. And I keep telling everybody that. It's almost ridiculous at this point. It's already ridiculous. By the way, folks, there have been over 222 earthquakes that have hit our planet today. That's almost a little bit low. We usually have 240, 250 earthquakes. Okay. I'm going to take you down here to northern Chile. 5.2 magnitude earthquake hit over in Tarapaca, Chile. Okay, near Iquique, Chile. Ique, Chile. Iquique. 5.2 earthquake hit earlier today. Okay, today in Panama, Puerto Armuelles, Puerto Armuelas, Panama, a 5.1. Now we've seen seismic energy traveling up the coast of Panama and Argentina, or not Panama, coast of Panama, coast of Chile and Argentina and Peru and Ecuador. It's hit Panama now. A few days ago, we had a 5.0 over here in southern Mexico. But notice that USGS is not telling us anything about southern Mexico. If I brought out my EMSC map, you'd see tons of earthquakes, always in southern Mexico. And even though we had a 5.0 down there a few days ago, it's going to get hit again. Why? Because we continue to see a large amount of earthquake activity in southern Mexico. Sometimes it's 2s and 3s, then it builds up to 3s and 4s, and then it'll pop up a 5. And it's possible we might see a 6 or 7 hit Mexico anytime soon. Anytime soon. Okay? All earthquakes originate down here in the South Pacific. Today, over in the South Pacific near Tonga, 291 kilometers, about 180, 190 miles southwest of Vaini, V-A-I-N-I, Tonga, had a 4.9, 5.0 earthquake. Yep. Another earthquake that we need to pay attention to happened over on the southern tip of Russia here, in their peninsula, the Kamchatka Peninsula here, on the northeastern end of our Ring of Fire. A 4.3 magnitude earthquake. It's a moderate earthquake. But notice how close it is to this earthquake fault. Bingo. That's why. Then it's going to go up here through the Aleutian Island chain and into Alaska. Speaking of which, in the Aleutian Islands, we had a 2.7, another 2.7, hit 43 kilometers east-northeast of Adak, Alaska. 43 kilometers is about 23, 25 miles east-northeast of Adak, Alaska, out in the Bering Sea. I believe this is the Bering Sea up here. It might be part of the Pacific, and this is the Bering Sea up further north up here. It's probably the way it is. But it hit over here in the Aleutian Island chain. But that's why we continue to get earthquake seismic activity moving through the Aleutian Islands and into Alaska. Into Alaska. We told you about Mount Redoubt near Talkeetna, 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 Alaska, over near what? What is this mountain in Alaska? Mount McKinley? Yep. There's a 3.1 today, northeast of there, near Delta Junction, Alaska. About 43 miles west-southwest of Delta Junction, Alaska, we had a 3.7. And they're only showing us a handful of earthquakes here in southern Alaska. There's a lot more earthquakes than that. I can promise you that. Now, I want to take off this map. I'm going to come back to reality for a minute. I'm going to show you, well, first off, I'm going to tell you how many earthquakes that have now hit our planet since the beginning of the year, since January 1 at 1 minute after midnight. We have had 15,677 earthquakes since January 1st. 15,577 earthquakes since January 1st. Wow. You might say, wow. You're right. You have a right to say, wow. That's a lot of earthquakes. That's a ton of earthquakes. But let's go over, I want to spend some time in California. Since we've had earthquakes in California, we're going to go there. Okay, I'm going to show you this. It says that there's 10 plus earthquakes up in the Pacific Northwest and over 100, oh, let me turn down the light here, and over 100 earthquakes in California. Over 100 earthquakes in California. That's what was happening this time last year, building up to what we had July 4th. Okay, that's what happened. It says we had 50 plus earthquakes up in Alaska. Up in Alaska. Not surprising, huh? Not surprising in the least. Again, there were no earthquakes in northern Alaska above the Arctic Circle. They were all in southern Alaska, swarming in southern Alaska. Okay, let's go down to Pacific Northwest, and then we'll go to California. How about that? Should we do that? Today, Packwood, Washington, a minus 0.04. What do we know about Packwood, Washington? Okay. Do you think just happens to be a volcano there? You're right. But it wasn't just one earthquake at Mount Rainier. And by the way, I got into it with USGS earlier today. Up near the summit, just right below the summit. No, it's actually right at the summit. Packwood, Washington is 0.25 magnitude earthquake, right at the summit, the crater, the middle of the crater. Okay. On the northeast flank of the volcano, we had a minus 0.04, meaning it was up above sea level. Earthquake was above sea level. Now, I got into it with a guy from USGS because I get emails from USGS. And one of the emails was talking about Mount Rainier. And people were asking questions about what is going on with Mount Rainier. One gentleman asked the USGS why they had been seeing so many earthquakes at Mount Rainier. Well, the USGS guys hadn't gotten back with this particular person that left a comment, left his question. So I answered the question, and I told them about magma infill to the volcano. I also mentioned steam eruptions at Mount Rainier. I also mentioned the fact that there have been lahars on Mount Rainier, that there was magma beneath the surface of the volcano that had been melting snow and ice, and there was a debris flow, a lahar, that came down Mount Rainier. Well, within an hour after that, a gentleman from USGS answered and said, I don't know whether you got to get your information, but you're wrong. I said, really? I answered him back. I said, really? I happen to be watching seismographs that show the earthquakes, meaning there's magma infill going on. And you can read the seismograms and know that's what's going on. And he didn't reply back. And I told the guy that made the comment, that there were fissures that opened up at the summit of the volcano, and that's why it was steaming. These small earthquakes had hit that plug at the top of the volcano. And there were so many that there were little fractures in the summit of the volcano that let loose the steam from the magma beneath it. And guy from USGS says I was wrong. Really? You know, they're trying to hide the truth. And the guy from USGS talked about how I was wrong about the debris flow, and that this happens every time this year with sudden storms and rain coming to that area. And that's why the snow melted and everything. I'm going, you little liar. You little liar. And I mentioned the fact that when I had contacted the park, and I wasn't the only one, several of you also contacted the Mount Rainier Park, and they explained what we thought was steam. They said, oh, that's just blowing snow. Really? Lies upon lies upon lies. Anyway, that's what happened this morning too. And yes, I did not get hot under the collar. And again, it was only comments that they had left me after I explained the situation of what was really happening. And I explained it again too. After that, there was somebody else that commented about Mount St. Helens, and I told them the same thing that was happening up at Mount Rainier, except for the lahars. We haven't seen any lahars at Mount St. Helens, but they're there. The snow is there. The steam is steaming at Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens and Mount Baker. But USGS doesn't want anybody to know about it. Oh, you got to be wrong. We don't know where you got that information. I told the guy, I've seen the seismograms. You can't hide everything. I should have also commented that they had taken down the seismogram at Mount Baker because we had also seen what was going on at Mount Baker. USGS doesn't like us telling the truth. And that's okay. Anyway, Mount Rainier got hit twice today, once at the summit and once on the northeastern flank. That's what happened there. Continuing down further south, 2 more earthquakes. One at Three Rivers, Oregon, just like yesterday. Three Rivers, Oregon, a minus 0.31. Minus 0.31. And just south of there, at Lapine, Oregon, a minus 0.63. Again, up above sea level. Up above sea level. So there are earthquakes that get reported in Washington and Oregon. Well, glory be, they do report. Also, just for what it's worth, Moses Lake North had a 0.73 earthquake today. And before we leave the north end of the continent, let's go up to northern Montana. Libby, Montana, a 0.72 today. 0.72. Going south, Butte, Montana, 1.8. South of there, Lima, Montana, had a 2.6 magnitude earthquake. All of these earthquakes are in the Yellowstone magma chamber area, the northern magma chamber of Yellowstone National Park. South and east of there, we had another one, 41 miles east-northeast of Old Faithful, 0.56. South of there, southwest of there, Montpelier, Idaho. Montpelier, Idaho, just south of Pocatello, a 1.57 magnitude earthquake. Okay, a 1.57 magnitude earthquake in southeastern Idaho. Let's go a little bit further south. Riverton, Utah. Remember last year, beginning early in spring and early summer last year, Riverton, Utah was hit. Guess what, folks? They're back at 0.70 in Riverton, Utah, just 7 miles south of where I live. Riverton, Utah. We're going to be monitoring this because if it's happening now, it's going to happen again. Folks, we just had another earthquake in South America. This time, and it was in an area of northeastern Argentina, a 4.3 moderate earthquake hit 66 kilometers. northwest of San Antonio de los Cobres, Argentina. It's just southeast of the 5.2 magnitude earthquake that hit at Iquique, Chile. Let me show you that again, so you know what's going on. This red marked earthquake is a 4.3 at San Antonio de los Cobres, Argentina. This is a 5.2 near Iquique, Chile. Okay. I told you about that earthquake that just hit a short time ago, a 3.0 in Snyder, Texas. And by the way, we did have another earthquake today in Prague, Oklahoma, a 2.9. A 2.9. All right. So we kept you up with that. Let's go further down south. Kenosha, Utah, central Utah, had a 1.35. Southwest of there in Milford, Utah, had a minus 0.05. And Beaver, Utah had a 0.38. Now here's the three earthquakes right there, right together. In the central part of the central part of Utah. Folks, this is the area of the Black Rock Desert volcano. The Black Rock Desert volcano. Now, what do you think caused that earthquake? Or those earthquakes? Magma infill beneath the earth. That's exactly where those earthquakes came from. And USGS is going to deny, they're going to yell and scream and hop up and down and jump up and down mad, and that's okay, let them. It doesn't matter what they think anymore. They've lied and lied and lied and keep covering themselves up. Okay, let's go over to Northern California. On the Gorda Escarpment today, right off the coast of Petrolia, California. We had a 1.45 earthquake. 1.45 earthquake just off the coast of Northern California, near Petrolia, California, on this Gorda Escarpment. This line right here, running from the coast out 200 miles out to sea, is the Gorda Escarpment. We talked about this past week when we had a 5.9 and several other earthquakes right here. A total of 10 plus 11 earthquakes in this same area just a few days ago. This one's on the Gorda Escarpment right at the coast of Petrolia, California. Okay. Down here, the geysers, 20 plus earthquakes. The geysers are a man-made geothermal power plant that was built to harvest steam from the Clear Lake volcano to provide power for 4 electric companies there in California. The geysers power plant is located in where? Sonora, California, or not Sonora, Sonoma, California. Sonoma, California. Remember where those fires were last fall? They said that the geysers power plant may have caused one of them. That's the geysers. That's where those earthquakes are happening. Sonoma, California. Okay. Just up from there, Redwood Valley had a 1.96 magnitude earthquake. Redwood Valley, California, 1.96. They've had upwards of a 3.5 in Redwood Valley. Let's go down the coast. Let's not go completely down the coast yet. Truckee, California, over by the big lake there in Northern California. Tahoe Vista. Tahoe Vista, California, minus 0.02. Just a minor earthquake near that wonderful lake right there. Cold Springs, Nevada, just across the border from Truckee, 0.40. And Lemon Valley, that made the map today, is 0.80. They're all right there. They're all right there. South of Lake Tahoe, we had a 1.80 at Gardnerville Ranchos, California. Let's go down. What do we have down here? What do we have down here? I wonder what we've got. Mammoth Mountain, folks. Mammoth Mountain had a few quakes today. Mammoth Mountain. 0.64, 0.69, 1.40, and a 1.60, and a 1.91. Mammoth Mountain got hit today. Now it's getting close to 8 o'clock. I'm going to try to finish this up. Okay, we had a series of earthquakes just east of Monterey Bay here. Okay, we know what these are. Hollister, California, 0.94. San Juan Bautista, California, 1.3. And just south of there, Tres Pinos, California, 0.82. What is just south of there? We have New Idra, California, 1.34, and Parkfield, California, on the San Andreas Fault, and it's the capital, the earthquake capital of California, Parkfield, 0.80 today. Good old Parkfield, California. Further south in Carpinteria, California, a 1.65. This is down near Santa Barbara. Carpinteria. Also on the San Andreas, Vincent, California, a 0.71. Now we're going to go really fast here because we're going down into Moreno Valley near Los Angeles, 1.02 and a 1.83. Thousand Palms out in the desert, 1.93. Anza Gap. Look at the earthquakes in the Anza Gap today. Anza Gap got hit. Riverside, California. Riverside, California got hit today. San Diego County. Chula Vista, just north of the Mexican border. Chula Vista, north of the California-Mexican border, a 1.65 today. Those friends of mine in Chula Vista, one of my old police partners that I really cared about, he was one heck of a neat guy. They got hit, 1.65. No, you didn't feel it, and that's okay. It's a small quake. Going over to Ocotillo, California, 1.17 at the top of the Chocolate Mountains, 1.17. Not to be outdone, let's go over to the North Salton Sea. The Northwest Salton Sea got hit. Salton City, a 1.52 today. Salton City, right next to the Salton Sea, Salton Butte volcano right there. Yep. Let's go down a little bit south. Ocotillo, California, 1.17. Ocotillo, California, 1.43. And just across the border, just barely across the border, a 1.80. Go figure. Go figure. It got hit today. Yellowstone got hit today. We talked about that. We talked about the earthquakes in Oklahoma today. Not to be outdone. Illinois, you got hit today. Red Bud, Red Bug, Illinois. You got hit by a 2.29 earthquake. A 2.29 earthquake in Illinois. Illinois usually does not get hit. Today it got hit. Benton, Texas, a 2.17 magnitude earthquake. This is this earthquake in Tennessee today is on the southeastern part of the North American Craton. That's why it got hit. Now we don't show any other earthquakes up along the eastern seaboard or even in Canada today. Sharon, you didn't have any earthquakes today. I'm sorry. I still like you. I still love you, girl. That's okay. Anyway, that's what happened today. That's what happened today. 50 plus earthquakes in southern Mexico, folks. 50 plus earthquakes here in southern Mexico. They're not going away. There's probably going to be another 5.0 larger earthquake in southern Mexico soon. We had a 5.0 in Panama today. What can I say? That's a quick summary of the earthquakes. There's earthquakes over in, some minor earthquakes over in Greece, Turkey today, and up into Northern Europe. They got hit. Not heavy, but they got hit. The earth is moving around this planet. Also be advised, a 3.9 magnitude quake is hit over in northwest of Roadtown, British Virgin Islands today. Northeast of Puerto Rico. British Virgin Islands was hit by a 3.9 magnitude earthquake just off the coast. Okay. Anyway, folks, it's time to say goodbye. It's after 8 o'clock. I've got to get off the air so we can get Scarlett in here with Clarity After Dark. I want to thank our friends over here at the Freedom Revolution for letting us have a program here and bringing you seismic activity and activity involving the world and the United States. I'm sorry for everybody that does not live in the United States and Canada. I did spend a lot of time today talking about what has been happening in our country, the United States of America. I talk about everybody, but I want you to know, no matter whether you live in Costa Rica, Belize, anywhere in Central America, yes, we have friends all over, from Mexico south through to Central America. We got friends in Brazil, everywhere. But we want you to know that we care about you. We love you. That's why we talked about earthquakes, that we talked about emergencies all over the world, because we care. We want you to know what's going on. We want to save lives. That's our primary mission, saving lives. We ask the Lord to bless you. And please do know that we love you. We always will. We hope you have a great night. If anything else happens, we'll be back to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. As Walter Cronkite would say, and that's the way it is. Today, Friday, March 13th, 2020. For Emergency Management Associates, this is Ron Tyler. Take it easy, folks. See you soon. Good night, everybody. Have a great one. We'll see you soon.